what we want is to give you a roadmap of what the next several years will look like. So what resources exist and how to take advantage of those resources, especially if you are new not only to experimental surgery, but to McGill University itself. Now, without further ado, allow me to start with a video of the welcome address from the chair of the department, Dr. Leanne Feldman.
Thank you, Professor Mwale. Very proud of our faculty and the work that they do in research and in education. I think there's a ton of exciting projects going on that to get involved in, as well as getting involved in student life and making the most out of this opportunity on the next step of your training and development towards what I'm sure will be rewarding and so I'm always available by email if you have questions, but I know that we have great resources in Professor Mwale, Professor Baralat, and all the program leads and professors that we have involved in the program, as well as all of our staff, many of whom you see participating today. So congratulations again, and I wish you all the best in your studies.
So thank you very much. Dr. Leanne Feldman could not attend because she was called in to operate at last minute. Our next speaker is the Associate Provost and Dean of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, Professor Josephine Nabatanglu. Dr. Nabatanglu, please.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here. Welcome to McGill. Congratulations. And I also want to thank you for choosing McGill because you all have multiple options. And I think that you've done well in choosing this department. It's got great innovative programs and very good curriculum where students are very involved and engaged in research. So welcome again. What I wanted to tell you is that you've got a great department, but you're also in a great university. So take advantage of everything that the department organizes for you. Lots of people are there to support you and organize workshops, opportunities, events. McGill has great professional development programs that you should participate in. If you think about it, 1 or 2 workshops a month. It takes very little of your time, but that's how you get to set your networks and find your friends for the rest of your life, basically. So you are in a department that's very invigorating in terms of its approaches and take advantage of everything that we offer you. My office, the Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, is there to support you. So at all levels, you're going to get the support that you need at McGill. Thank you again for inviting me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nabatonglu. So our next speaker was Professor Bartlett. Unfortunately, he cannot attend because he was called to emergency. His daughter is in emergency at the moment. And so Professor Bartlett is the Vice Chair of Research, and you will see him around. He's also the Associate Director, Injury Repair Recovery Program. And he's the Innovation Director, Faculty of Medicine and Steinbeck Center for Stimulation and Interactive Learning. He's also the Scientific Director of Clinical Innovation Platforms. Now, our next speaker is the Associate Dean for Medical Science, Graduate and Postdoctoral Affairs in the Faculty of Medicine at McGill. And this is Professor Amy Ryan. Is Dr. Ryan here?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Dr. Mwale, for inviting me. I just want to reiterate what you've just heard from Dina Nalbantoglu. It's welcome to McGill. We are really thrilled that you picked to do your graduate studies here and that you found a match with a supervisor, that you're going to embark on really exciting research. This is, as she said, a very innovative department with really exciting programs going on, very successful students. And we're, I view them as sort of one of the feathers in the cap of the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences. My role as Associate Dean within the faculty is to support you, to support our graduate programs. And so please, as you were suggested to, take advantage, though, of the things that happen outside, the things that Central McGill, the programs that Central McGill is offering you to take advantage of. Honing these, what we sometimes consider to be soft skills, is super important, and they really complement that intensive research project that you're going to undertake. I'd also like to make you aware that we are working to improve things in graduate programs across the faculty. We're working with your graduate program directors, your graduate program coordinators. We work with student groups. We have, in addition to your local student associations, your graduate student associations, we have a health and wellness working group across the faculty with representatives from each of the groups that meets regularly. We also have a SAFE committee, which is a students advocating for equity and diversity and inclusion. And that group also was initiated by students, partly in response to the murder of George Floyd, and we continue to meet regularly. These two groups, together with my office, host a monthly lunch and learn series, and that will launch again towards the end of October and go till the end of May. So I invite you to, have a great time, enjoy your research, participate in everything that McGill has to offer you. My office is open. If you have initiatives that you would like to bring forward, please bring them forward, make suggestions. And one of the things that we're having that we will launch later in the term is we have hired a local wellness advisor for the faculty, and that person will be starting towards the end of September. And that person will be there to provide preventative approaches for your wellness, proactive approaches for your wellness that prevent you from getting into situations, hopefully, of high stress. But we'll be there also to support you when you are in stress. And they will also be supporting our supervisors in supporting you. So that will be launched. So with that being said, please read the emails we send out. I think you'll get many from GPS. You'll also get them from my office. I know your email boxes will get full of email, but at least skim through them, because there's important information that comes forward through those. And we want you to be here, active and participating in every opportunity. So I wish everybody great success, and I look forward and hope to meet many of you throughout your studies at McGill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ann. So our next speaker is the Associate Dean of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, Professor Lorraine Shalipo. Lorraine?
Yep. Hi, Faxon. Hi, Experimental Surgery. So again, thank you for choosing McGill, and thank you for coming to this orientation. It is actually pretty crucial. The information that you get here will go a long way to make sure you have success in your research and in your at McGill. At Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, we have 3 associate deans. I'm the associate dean who's responsible for medicine and health sciences. So should you have a difficulty, you can go up the hierarchy. This is considered going to your PI, your committee for science type things, going to your graduate program coordinator, who you should know, Sharon, and Faxon, your graduate program director, for things like administration. Where do I find this? How do I do this? If they don't know in the unlikely event, then you would go to your chair or Dr. Ryan or myself. And in the end, we'll end up going to the dean. So those are for administration and for the hierarchy things. I think what you should do is to, and I hope you will, bookmark the Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies site. There are many things that are of interest there. There's a funding section, which will help you get funds, what to do with your funds, how to make sure that you make the best application forward. And Jen Walker is going to talk to you about that later. There's also things for thesis And in my opinion, it's never too soon to start. You can already be putting in your method section and writing out a bunch of stuff and getting your outline. And there's a thesis section, which will tell you exactly what you need in order to get your thesis done. There's also a very important supervisee section. And I think you should be well aware of what your responsibilities are, and what your PI's responsibilities are. Sometimes you may be surprised at the things that you're supposed to do, and you can make sure that your PI knows what she is supposed to be doing too. Sometimes they think differently, and in that case, then you go to your chair, GPD, etc. For overall, I think your meetings with your PI, you should work towards transparency. That if you're having difficulty, making sure that your PI knows that you are having a difficulty with something, and then you can work towards getting it. Don't let things fester until they become a big burden on you. Should that occur, then, there are lots of places that you can go to. You can go to the Ombudsman, who will be able to help you navigate some of the help things that are available to you. There's other things online. There's something called Keep Me Safe, which is an app you can put on your phone. It's available 24/7. Can't get better than that. And they have a lot of different languages too. So if you're an international student, sometimes, you express yourself more easily in your native tongue. Well, that's the way to go. There's also something called the Office for Student Accessibility and Achievement. So you can maybe go there and find out, I can't hear very well. I don't see very well. I need a little help here. And they will, see if they can help you out there. There's other things called the LICM, which is an acronym for the third-year law students, who can help you out if you're having trouble with your rent, or you're having trouble with a disciplinary officer, who I am also, and who I never want to see you with, because that's when you've committed something called plagiarism or cheating or gotten yourself in trouble in some other aspects. McGill has lots of sites to help you figure out what is plagiarism, how can I avoid it, make sure you don't get yourself caught in that trap. Again, I want to make sure that you know that there are lots of things to support you. There's lots of people who are more than willing to support you. We're available most times by email. We answer them, as quick as we can. If not, we'll tell you later. Or, if they can't, we don't have the answer right away, we'll go, well, I'll get back to you, something like this. So thanks for choosing McGill, and I hope you have a great time here.
So thank you very much, Professor Shaliko. My name is Faxon Male. I'm the Graduate Program Director in Experimental Surgery. I'm also the Co-Director of Clinical Innovation and Course Director of Non-thesis and Medical Technology Internship. So I would like to introduce our team, the Graduate Program Office, starting with Ms. Sharon Turner, who a lot of you have been communicating with. And the coordinator is, she's the Graduate Program Coordinator. And then we've got Ms. Misha Hyun, who is the Administrative and Student Affairs Coordinator. Mr. Terin Wan is our Chief Multimedia Technician. Ms. Laura Epu is our Data Analyst. So she's the one who's been crunching the numbers of the harmonized stipend that I'm sure you all received the letters. And finally, we have Dr. Michael Grant, who's part-time and has been helping us with the seminars and has been also helping us coordinate with the internship between our course and the industry. So we are now going to hear from Sharon. She's going to tell us some important things to do and to note.
Hi, everybody. Another welcome to McGill and to the department. These are a few things that you should be aware of. You need to verify on Minerva that your required documents are sent to Service Point to ensure that your file is complete. Pay your tuition fees on time to avoid these late charges, and that's done via Minerva as well. And take note of all our course registration dates and the add drop period. I believe the add drop period is still in effect up until next week. Complete the direct deposit information on Minerva. This is important for any funds that you may be receiving. Check our experimental surgery website and your email regularly for any updates and notifications. And apply for studentship, so you can see all the competitions there. And to complete the academic integrity tutorial, you may see on your transcript that this could put a hold on your registration. So once that's completed, that should be lifted. And we will only communicate with you through your McGill email. And if you send us a message, it'd be great if you included your McGill ID number as well. That helps a lot. And you should register full-time for every term, even if you've completed your courses. It's important that you maintain full-time status until you graduate. As you can see here, the minimum and maximum time in each program for the master's is 1.5 years. And for the maximum time there is 3 years. PhD is 3 years minimum, and the maximum time is 7. Once you exceed these times, your status will change to time limitation, and you're prevented from registering. Okay, now I'd like to introduce our president of our Graduate Student Society, Ida.
Thanks, Sharon. So hi, everyone. It's great to see so many new faces over Zoom. So as Sharon mentioned, I'm the president of the Student Council. And basically, for the next couple of minutes, I'll just explain what we do, the kind of activities that we run, and any kind of support that you need. So kind of on the theme of support, we're really here for the purpose of supporting you as experimental surgery students, both socially and academically. So that means that we do hold, social events for us to all kind of meet together, meet new people, and have friends within the department. And we also hold academic workshops, because I think it's quite important to be able to, improve our presentation skills, our writing skills, and so on, especially in grad school. So just quickly, there's a lot of positions available, and I'll officially do a call for nominations in a couple of minutes, but I just wanted to clarify that there are positions available. So I'm the president, and there's a few remaining members from previous years, notably Anita, Shrita, and Ms. Ghana. But there's lots of different positions to fill, and we're looking for new students to join us. Not just to have fun and interact, but also kind of make this student society active, and bringing new activities to the forefront for other students. So moving on to the next slide. This is just kind of to show you that we do have lots of fun events, specifically in the academic sphere. So one of our best events that I personally love is the Experimental Surgery Research Day. That gives students the opportunity to present their work, to showcase their research, and to practice before they go on to national and international conferences. And of course, in that same vein, we have lots of workshops to help you, fine-tune your presentation and make sure it's the best it can possibly be. And then on the kind of more social side, so on the next slide, I just wanted to highlight that we do lots of social events as well, as I've mentioned. So during COVID, of course, there was lots of online game nights, but we're hoping that we'll be moving away from that and have more in-person activities to get to know each other. And we've had lots of very successful events like sushi night, skating at the Old Port, and so on. So I'm really hopeful that I'll get to meet you face to face, and that if you ever are in town, these are really good opportunities to meet your peers. And so moving on to the next slide, I just wanted to kind of officially say that we are opening a call for nominations. So you'll receive a couple of emails in the following days about this with these instructions as well. But just to highlight that we're looking for a VP academic, 2 VP communications, a VP internal, external, and finance, as well as a secretary for our council. So if this is something that you're interested in, or you want a little bit more information, please feel free to send an email to the ESGSS email that's kind of highlighted above. And if you want to apply, please provide your name, your student year, the name of your supervisor, and the position that you're interested in. So once we've collected all of the students that do want to apply, we'll kind of send an official email as well. So on that front, I'm really hoping that at least a couple of you will join me. It's a lot of fun. I've been on this council for a while, and I can say it's really great. And so kind of to give you a bit of contact information, or I guess how to stay updated on a lot of the events that we run, on a lot of the activities. So we do have a very active Facebook and Instagram page. So I really invite you to kind of follow us through those channels. And we also have a Twitter page as well as the ESGSS website. That being said, if you have any specific kind of questions or you have any concerns and so on, you can also email me specifically. So my email is down below. And if you want to send it to the ESGSS email, I also check it very regularly. So we'll be getting back to you as soon as we can. And I highly encourage you, again, to be in the loop, to be kind of included in all of these very fun social events. Please do follow these channels.
Thank you, Aida. Now we begin the overview of our program, starting with the non-thesis Master of Science directed by Dr. Faxen Mwale. The program is based primarily on academic coursework and short projects, providing a great opportunity for training in specific area. It consists of 45 credits. 12 credits must be obtained from required courses. For this reason, we advise you to register at these courses first. You must also complete 24 credits of complementary courses and 9 credits of elective. A full list of these courses can be found on the e-calendar under the Master's Science Experimental Surgery Non-thesis at the link below. Now, one of the most important required courses, it's EXUS 623, is that it's a one-semester research project. It's that one here. For this course, the involvement of a curriculum director is required. Please check the list of the available projects and the list of our curriculum directors. Depending on your interest, you will be assigned to an advisor and the project. There are 2 evaluation forms that will be filled by your advisors. These forms are available on our non-thesis MSc program webpage. We invite you to consult these forms and acknowledge how you will be evaluated. Now I will answer to several frequently asked questions.
So as a non-thesis student, is the EXSU 623 project a requirement?
Yes, it is mandatory for the non-thesis students. The 623 takes 1 semester and we encourage students to complete it in their first year.
And as a non-thesis student, can I register for EXSU 623 and the EXSU 622 project?
Yes, but first the non-thesis students must complete the 623 project and then the 622 project if they wish to do both.
And if I transfer to thesis stream, can credits from the EXSU 623 project be carried over to the thesis stream?
No, given that 623 is dedicated non-thesis course, these credits cannot be transferred to the thesis stream.
Thank you.
Now I'll introduce Dr. Grant, who will talk to you about our interesting summer internship, Medical Technology 1 and 2.
Thanks, Laura, and hi all. Transitioning from academia to the workforce can be quite a challenge. Experimental surgery offers 2 internship courses, Medical Technology 1 and 2, taken concurrently in the summer, totaling 12 credits, to help you develop the professional skills required to make such a transition. Each course begins with an orientation and debriefing, followed by an intense 6 weeks long, 37.5-hour per week internship with one of our industrial partners. These courses will help you develop skills such as cross-disciplinary communication, teamwork, time management, and efficient project management. As shown here are some of the students who have just graduated from our program in companies such as Oligomedic and Biomomentum. So if you're interested, please register for XSU 501 and 502. Now I'll introduce Professor Mwale will now introduce our thesis track program.
Thank you very much, Professor Grant, Dr. Grant. So we have some very exciting concentrations. First of all, we have the PhD, which is intended for people who wish to contribute to the scientific understanding of original work in the lab and in the field research. We've got these master's programs, experimental surgery, which is the core stream. And then we have got these really interesting concentrations. Some of them are unique in Canada, such as surgical innovation, digital health innovation. And you are going to hear about surgical education from Professor Hurley. And you're also going to hear from about global surgery. And one of the newer concentrations is surgical outcomes. You hear from Professor Fiore. Now there's a very new one that just came out brand new, which is a master's non-thesis in experimental surgery oncology. Next slide, please. Now, before that, there's some important things that we should know, which is a thesis tracking. In the thesis tracking, what we have is that you'll be assigned an advisory chairperson will be assigned to you by the department. So it's to chair your research advisory committee, and we call it the RAC. Basically, what we need a selection of minimum 2 additional committee members, and all the arrangements that are required to meet, or the meeting, and the responsibility, all that is your responsibility and your supervisor. So the committee, basically, they monitor your progress of your project, and you should use them because they function as a resource. They are there to help you. And so use them as much as you can. Now, for the first meeting, we suggest that you meet within 3 months of beginning. And this is basically between your supervisor, and the RAC chair. But in the future meetings, you are required to meet with your full advisory committee for a minimum of at least once a year until you graduate. So there are some forms that you can find at this website to complete your tracking meetings. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, so you can also fast track from a master's to a PhD. And so this is open to students who have superior performance, and we'll tell you what that means. So your supervisor sends a letter to me, and there's a fast track exam that is required. And also, once you are successful, make sure you notify the GPC, and you also submit your application when you apply to fast track. And so make sure to take note that admission deadlines apply for fast track as well. Next slide. Now, these are the fast track tracking eligibility. You need to have a strong academic record, so a CGPA of at least 3.5 or higher. And you have to show that there is a lot of potential evidence of probable success comparison of appropriate research for the doctoral level. And at least you should complete a minimum of 2 full-time terms for the masters. So up to a maximum of 4 full-time terms. Next slide. Now, in terms of the committee, what you need is you need a supervisor, members of the research advisory committee, and you should add 2 additional members. And for the exam itself, this is organized by you, as I said before, and your supervisor. And this has to be done in consultation with the research advisory committee, the RAC. And you should submit a progress report to the transfer exam committee 2 weeks before the the exam. Now, the examination format is basically 20 minutes presentation, and this is followed by a question period. Next slide. So just a few words about the PhD. This is the highest degree that is conferred by experimental surgery and McGill. And basically, just to note that this is constitutes original scholarship, and it must be a distinct contribution to knowledge. Just to differentiate, it's not just an extended master's. So this has got some things that you should bear in mind. Next slide. Now, one thing that's unique with the PhD is required a comprehensive exam. And next slide. So this comprehensive exam has to be taken within 36 months of enrollment in a PhD and 24 months if you fast track from the master's. And you need an exam committee, again, a RAC, plus 2 to 3 additional members, and of course, chaired by your committee chairperson. It normally takes about 2 hours. And you need to receive a pass grade on both components. So I'll just explain what the two components are. So in order to be permitted to continue the PhD program, again, after you complete the exam, inform the GPC and confirm with McGill. Next slide. So the format, as I said, of the exam, one is a review of the progress that you made in the research. And so this, typically, you give a presentation about 20 to 30 minutes, followed by a period of questions. And then there's a critical assessment of a research article. Now, how is this article chosen? It's chosen between you and your supervisor. So you choose 3 to 4 recent articles, and then you submit them to the advisory committee. Now, the advisory committee chairperson will consult, and then they'll pick one. And once they pick one, what you do is that you have a written report, and make sure you submit this at least 10 to 14 days before the exam. And 20 to 30 minutes, again, you give another 20 to 30 minute oral presentation of the article, and this is followed by questions. Next slide. So now, Muskan.
Hello, welcome everyone. So I'm going to talk to you about Joint Experimental Surgery and IRR Seminar Series. But firstly, we would like to take some time and congratulate winners of the seminar series of 2021 and 2022, that are Ida Deris, Rika Yilmaz, Kayla Burku, who are our PhD students, and Oliver Wumatine, Sean Jeffrey, Elena Hamburger, and Francisco Sepulveda, who are master's thesis students. So now getting in some detail of the seminar. So it is held via Zoom on Tuesday afternoon from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. And it brings known researchers to present their research and also gives students an opportunity to present their work, which can be a proposal if you have not started your research, or it can be a presentation with preliminary data or a full presentation. It is a great platform and an opportunity to practice presenting one's work. And a short discussion session with specialists in the domain in Q&A period. The format of the seminar is, it starts at 1 p.m. with 1 to 2 student presenters. Each presenter gets 5 to 10 minutes talk, followed by a main speaker who will give a 45-minute presentation. After which, everyone in the audience can ask questions to the speakers. If you have any questions regarding the seminar, you can contact our coordinators, Mika Youth and Dr. Michael Grant, and Graduate Program Coordinator, Sharon Turner, for any queries related to the seminar. Also, you can find the format of the seminar about the past presentations and recording are posted on the Experimental Surgery website. Please take a note that the attendance of the seminar is mandatory. So please save 1 to 2 p.m. of Tuesdays on your schedule. Next, I would like to introduce Graduate Program Director, Dr. Foxon Molle.
So again, this was going to be presented by Professor Jake Bartlett. I'll present it. So I talked about digital health innovation, and these are basically the requirements, 45 credits. And you get to take some really cool courses, such as applied data science, digital health, and social data using specialized software, etc. And so the 30 credits go to the thesis courses, and then 15 credits again go to the required courses. Next slide. And then we have this surgical innovation, which I said is quite very unique in Canada. I think there are only 2 places where this is similar is given, and the other one in the States is Stanford University. And so basically we get thesis courses, 30 credits, and then we have got required courses. And these are really nice and very practical courses, which takes you away from the usual type of courses that you take. So you've got 619, which is the hospital environment, 620, surgical innovation, 621, another surgical innovation. And then you can take a statistic course and complementary course, and all that adds up to 45 credits. Next slide. So if you don't want to take the thesis, there's another variety. You can get a graduate certificate in surgical innovation, which is 15 credits, and you go directly to the 9 credits, 619, 620, and 621, and then you can add your statistics, analytic course, and you got your 15 credits for the certificate. So we also have another next slide, and so it comes into another flavor, graduate diploma as well, surgical innovation, in which case you have the 30 credits. And as you can see there, you have the required courses, 15 credits, complementary courses, 9 credits, and you add an elective. So these are very, very interesting and very, very unique courses indeed in the whole of Canada. Next. So this is what I was talking about, the really new kid on the block, which is master's non-thesis in experimental surgery oncology. And so we teamed up with the Department of Oncology and to provide students with the opportunity to use, so they have this graduate diploma in oncology. So we thought of using this as a springboard for a master's non-thesis degree in experimental surgery. So you can have 2 options. You can have what is called a stackable master's non-thesis. In this case, you can have a graduate diploma in oncology, gives you about 30 credits. And then with this graduate certificate in surgical innovation, it gives you the 45 credits you need. Or you can have option 2, which is the master's non-thesis in experimental surgery with a concentration in oncology. And what happens here is that you get the 30 credits, and these the 30 credits are transferred to the master's program requirements, and then you get to take all these really nice, cool courses, such as artificial intelligence in medicine. Next slide, please. So Professor Jason Hurley is going to talk about surgical education. Professor Hurley, please.
Thanks, Dr. Mwale. So surgical education is all about having a better understanding and improving training of educational and training in educational environments. This can include technology, stimulation, and also psychological and well-being variables in the environment, because all of these things influence and can help us innovate in terms of how we go about teaching and learning and training in surgical and other health professions environments. As you can see, for the thesis, there's a number of thesis credits like the other courses there. There's 2 required courses at the moment. Surgical Education Foundations is a course that I teach. Teaching and Learning Higher Education is a course offered at the Faculty of Education. And then there's a number of complementary courses. As I think was possibly covered a little bit earlier, there's also a non-thesis surgical education program. I'm not sure whether that's the next slide. Might be.
No, we don't have that slide, Dr. Harley.
Okay, that's fine. The non-thesis programs, basically there's, as Dr. Mwale or someone else may have mentioned, there's concentration directors for different programs there. If you're interested in doing a project that has to do with training, with learning, and improving these things in a surgical context, then please feel free to email me in addition to getting in contact with others to help you identify a non-thesis research project in this area. As the director of this program, I would look at and evaluate the project or the final write-up of the project before it would go to Dr. Mwale for his final approval. And I think that's probably all I need to say. I think that there's a question period at the end. Sharon or Misha, please jump in and correct me so I can stay until the end of this if people have questions. And welcome to McGill.
So, thanks, Professor Haley. Next slide, please, Laura. So, Professor Giulio Fiore is going to talk about surgical outcomes.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'll just have a few slides to share, so just bear with me. All right. Can you all hear me and see my slides?
Yes.
All right. So hello, everyone. My name is Giulio Fiore. I'm a surgical outcomes research and assistant professor in the Department of Surgery. And I'm currently the director of our thesis program with concentration on surgical outcomes research, and also one of the curriculum directors for the Non-thesis master's program, also with concentration on surgical outcomes. So in this short presentation will be highly focused on our thesis program, but I'm sure that some of the information that I'll provide will also be useful to the students in the non-thesis program. So our master's program with concentration on surgical outcomes research is a new kid on the block, as we had our first cohort of students starting only last year in the fall of 2021. And in case you wonder what I mean by surgical outcomes research, this is an emergent field of research focused on the results or consequences of surgical and perioperative care interventions. And experimental surgery always had many students conducting research projects focused on surgical outcomes, and this number increased even further in recent years. However, we never had a master's concentration that was tailored to the training needs of these specific students. So we are all very excited to finally be able to bridge this gap in our program. And our mission with this concentration is to offer students with world-class training in surgical outcomes research, and also provide the knowledge and skills required for students to start a successful career as a surgical outcomes scientist or clinician scientist. So why is this program important and so exciting? According to data from the WHO, over 300 million surgeries are conducted in hospitals around the world every year, approximately 2.5 million only in Canada. And although surgery is recognized to be an essential component of healthcare, complications and post-operative morbidities are quite common, occurring approximately 50% of all the patients undergoing major surgery. And a large proportion of these complications are considered to be preventable by optimizing perioperative care. And as you can imagine, postoperative complications pose a major burden to healthcare systems worldwide, with studies suggesting an up to 5-fold increase in costs compared to patients without complications. So in response to these very grim statistics, the WHO deems that improving the quality and safety of surgical care is a global public health concern. And given this concern, of course, there is an increasing need for robust research aimed to assess and improve the outcomes of surgical patients. And also there is a growing demand for scientists and clinician scientists who are skilled in the design, conduct, and critical appraisal of studies focused on surgical outcomes. And our master's concentration really capitalizes on this emerging field. As I mentioned, it is tailored to the training needs of future surgical outcomes researchers. So in terms of our program content, our master's concentration has a total of 45 credits. 33 of these credits are through required courses, including all 30 thesis credits, as well as 3 credits coming from a new course named Surgical Outcomes Research Foundations, which I'll talk a bit more about. And in addition to these mandatory courses, students will also complete 12 credits of complementary courses. At least 6 of these credits will be acquired through courses focused on research methods and biostatistics, which are key subjects in the field of surgical outcomes research. And through another 6 credits, students will also be able to pursue specific knowledge that is relevant to their graduate projects through elective courses. And now just taking a minute to focus on our course, Surgical Outcomes Research Foundations, which is one of the pillars of our concentration. This course is offered in the winter and is directed by myself and by Dr. Chelsea Gillis, who's an outcomes researcher from the Department of Anesthesia. And this course is taught by us and also by internationally renowned guest lecturers. And its content is focused on traditional and modern approaches to measure surgical outcomes, and also contemporary strategies to improve postoperative recovery. And a list of specific lectures and guest lectures are displayed here on the screen. As I mentioned, this course is mandatory for students in the thesis program with concentration on surgical outcomes, but of course, this course is also open to students in the non-thesis stream and also students from other concentrations who wish to take this course as an elective. So on behalf of the outcomes researchers at McGill's Department of Surgery, I wish to welcome you all to the Experimental Surgery graduate program, and we're looking forward to working together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Fiore, for that exciting outcomes presentation. So is Dr. Dan Dekabarim or Dr. Tariq Razik here?
Yes, hello, Faxon, I'm here.
Okay, wonderful. So yours.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so thank you for this. And so I'll do a very brief overview of the Master of Science in Experimental Surgery thesis track in global surgery. It's an exciting field, so and I don't have a lot of time, so I'll just really rapidly review the main areas of focus that we tend to look at for the students who come into this and what the thesis tends to entail. You can see here the course element is very similar to the previous ones that have been described, where there's 30 credits that are core with 9 required courses as part of this, and a complementary courses that can total 6 credits. So that's the course structure for the program. Our work tends to focus on developing healthcare systems globally, looking at mostly and most importantly at our own, in the Canadian context and remote areas in Canada, but also looking at an international spectrum of the developing infrastructure for complex healthcare system design and developments, focusing on surgical systems of care, but really the focus is even more broad than this. It's looking on emergency systems of care and critical access care. So things from pre-hospital to emergency department to critical care and operating room contexts and trauma programs, which represent, unfortunately, a very significant burden of disease when you look at the global spectrum of burden of disease, resulting in the most common causes of death for everyone under the age of 50 globally. Just looking at injury alone. So our programs tend to have three pillars of focus in terms of what our students look at in their thesis work. One of them is in academics and research in the design of healthcare system development. One of them is teaching and training as part of a comprehensive system of healthcare system development and how we enhance the robustness of teaching and training paradigms. And the other one is health policy and administration and economics, and how we then take that information from the academic and research and the teaching and training side and build strong policy structures that help environments develop more structured healthcare system design and implementation, looking at how they perform. So we have in the academic and research side, we tend to look at database developments and implementation of better data acquisition systems for nascent healthcare system and complex healthcare system infrastructure. And we do that both with trauma systems, critical care systems, and operating room systems. And we help generate that data flow and using our own IT infrastructure to help support teams to do that globally, which is tends to be quite a powerful tool and result in an awful lot of data acquisition, which then requires a lot of work to understand and analyze and interpret what that means in terms of the current spectrum of the lay of the land for the healthcare system that's currently in place, and looking at gaps and areas for improvement on how we can better design the flow of healthcare services to meet the needs of different populations in different contexts. And we, of course, look at that within our own context here in the Canadian system, both in our urban, rural, and remote areas, which can provide some tremendous challenges in how we deliver services and how we organize services. So we use that data to generate an outlay of the descriptive analytics of the needs of the communities that we're in, which wherever that may be, but also looking at what the infrastructure is to support those needs, and then looking at what the outcomes are for what is implemented. So that's the sort of a three perspective view of how we work with the data acquisition systems and analysis to look at that. And it matches very nicely with what Julia was talking about outcomes and performance, because we also overlap into that area of work, obviously looking at the performance and some of the global health indicators from the Lancet Commission, for example, and how we perform both in a very highly resourced environment like our own, but also in some very low resource environments. We also look at implementing teaching and training programs to support and augment the infrastructure there to develop capacity to perform in those systems. And that can be all the way from the non-clinician level or non-medical personnel level, and all the way up to a PhD type of support to develop programs in other parts of the world to collaborate with our teams to develop their education and training infrastructure systems using some design courses, but also working together collaboratively to help them implement train-the-trainer programs to improve the capacity for those local contexts to do better training themselves and become more independent in that capacity to do so. And we tend to do all of that work, both the data and academics and research, plus the teaching and training components, with many, many partners. So our core responsibility is with our own work in the Canadian context, and we obviously examine that very carefully within the same program structure, but we work with other teams and other champions in local contexts around the world who are trying to do the same things in their own context. And we lend a supporting hand and a collaborative working context to partner with other teams trying to do the same things in their own environments, but where they may lack tremendously either the financial or the human resources to do it to the degree that they would like to do it. So we support their teams looking at the same things in their own context. And in so we develop a knowledge base that provides a huge geographic picture of what is happening in the world in the design of healthcare systems to meet these emergency and critical care needs. So we work with partners in East and West Africa with about 14 countries in those environments, from all the way from academic centers in partnership to ministries of health, where we collaborate with them, and sometimes collaboratively with the WHO on some of our projects. We do some work in Eastern Europe, notably in the Ukraine right now, for example, and we continue with our work with our colleagues in the Ukraine that we've been doing for more than 10 years, even in their certain circumstances, which make it even more germane, focusing on how they develop and deploy emergency care systems in the context that they find themselves in, unfortunately. And we also do work in Southeast Asia with several partners, most notably in Nepal and Thailand. And we also have projects and programs in Latin America, in Central and South America, with several colleagues working at different ministries and different academic institutions in those contexts. So we have a wide array of partners that we collaborate with, looking at the same stream of investigative analytics and data acquisition and teaching and training research, and how we deploy and develop and maintain and analyze the performance of these complex health systems. And the policy side is much more complex, and it tends to be more at the PhD level, but we try to take all of that, and where we have enough of that information, try to coalesce that into policy support at the PhD level in the program. So that's a really rapid whirlwind tour of the work that we do within the global surgery stream. And if anybody ever has any questions at any time, you can feel free to reach out to me, and I'll help to supplement that at any time for anybody who requires it. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Razik. Next slide, please. Sharon.
Hi, everybody. We'd like to introduce Jan Walker, who is our Fellowships Administrator in the Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies Office. Welcome, Jan.
Jan, are you there? I think, is Jan there? Okay.
I'll contact her and see what's happening.
Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right, so there is funding for travel now that we can travel now. So there's one of the is regular graduate mobility award. So you can get funded for traveling to do graduate research in another lab, for example. And there are some students who are already abroad, and they can apply to do research, for example, in their own country, current country of residence, if their travel is involved there. There's also remote research that you can do online. And so if you have projects and you're collaborating with an international or out-of-province partner institutions, you can be eligible for funding for up to $2,000. There's also eligible expenses that include stipend complement up to $500 per month. And this can involve equipment, software, and virtual platform subscriptions. Next slide. So there's the GREAT Award. So this is if you want to go to a conference or other scholarly meeting presentation, you can apply for the GREAT Award, and so that's the kind of maximum you can get, about $1,000. And then students may also receive only one GREAT Award per academic year. So if you get one, just know that it's only one per year. Now, just one condition that's important. So it's only granted for applicants on research, and if there's no additional funding available from external sources. So that's important to note. And there it just shows how the award is paid. Next slide. Now, it's important to know that you have rights and responsibilities, and these are some important resources that you can consult to see what your rights and responsibilities are in terms of academic integrity, in terms of research provision, policies on student rights and responsibilities. Next slide. So the next slide, 2 slides may as well be called zero tolerance. So absolutely zero tolerance. Professor Shalipo talked about this. There's zero tolerance for plagiarism at McGill, and just don't do it. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. Next slide. Again, zero tolerance for harassment. And you should learn how to file a report under McGill's policy against sexual violence or complaint under the policy on harassment and discrimination, and this is prohibited by law. Now, for more information on harassment, you can visit that site. There's also a mandatory online sexual violence education program for the entire McGill community. It's entitled, It Takes All of Us. Next slide. There is ethics in research. So you can't just do research willy-nilly. So you should be aware about the ethics that are required in research. So the regulation of the conduct of research, this is establishes a general framework of the conduct of research, which is basically premised on individual responsibility for how you select, how you conduct your research, and scholarships of individual members of the community. So this is very, very important to note. Next slide.
So we've also got, I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about the fact that we do have a committee for students advocating for equity, diversity, and inclusion. So Dr. Ryan already kind of mentioned it, but I just wanted to highlight it once again, that this is meant to support and build a community for underrepresented, marginalized, and racialized students. It's also to educate society within science and academia, and also to implement action. So through specific institutional change, which again, Dr. Ryan kind of talked about a little bit, but to ensure procedures are put in place that allow for sustainable change. So this is a group that if you want to get involved, again, this is something that you can, contact Dr. Ryan over, but I also wanted to provide you with an additional source. So if we move on to the next slide, we have Ms. Ghana on our team. So he's actually on our student council, and he's part of the Graduate Health and Wellness Working Group. So I included his email right here. And I highly encourage you that if you have any concerns or questions, or you want to get involved, to please contact him or myself about this. We do want to kind of have the community of students involved in this as much as possible. And his specific role is to be a point of contact for any questions or concerns relating to health, wellness, and equity, as well as diversity. And so he will be relaying any kind of information to this working group. So again, highly encourage you to reach out if needed. And so on the next slide, there's just a short little video about additional McGill resources that we have as well.
Welcome to McGill, and congratulations to all of you who are starting your graduate degree. I'm Nicole, and I'm a PhD student in rehabilitation science in the Faculty of Medicine. I'm going to introduce the essential resources that McGill has to support your success throughout your graduate degree. In fact, there are so many resources that it can be hard to know where to look to find them. To make it easier for you, we've created a website that organizes essential resources for your success into 3 broad categories of academics, well-being and student life, and careers and professional development. The link to the website is mcgill.ca/first-year/graduate postdoctoral. On the website, select Resources for Success on the left-hand side of the menu. It will show a list of resources describing what they do and how you can contact them. I'm going to highlight some of the resources in each of these categories. When you first think about your success as a graduate student, you probably think about your academic work. Under the Academics tab, you'll find links to several resources to support you. Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies, or GPS, has essential information on funding opportunities, as well as preparing and submitting your thesis. Through GPS, you can also access pd.education, which is an online platform that provides resources, interactive webinars, and tools to help graduate students progress in and complete their degree. Another McGill service to support you is the Office for Students with Disabilities, or OSD. If you have documented disabilities, mental health illness, chronic illnesses, or other impairments, whether they be permanent, temporary, or episodic, OSD can help you receive accommodations and support to meet your needs, including adaptive technology or connecting with a learning resources advisor. Under the Wellbeing and Student Life tab, you'll see a list of services offered to graduate students at McGill. Half of these services are offered by the university, and the other half are offered by student groups. The Student Wellness Hub is where you access different resources for health and wellness, including counseling services, physician appointments, and programming by local wellness advisors. There are links here to the Virtual Hub, which describe the remote services available. Campus Life and Engagement is here to help you acclimatize, settle in, and find the people and services you need. They offer different programming to help connect you to resources and the community here at McGill. Under this tab, you'll also find student-run associations that offer services to graduate students. It's important to know about the Postgraduate Student Society, or PGSS. PGSS advocates for you, graduate students and postdoctoral fellows, in meetings with the university. They also offer social opportunities, including virtual events and programming. Another student-led service is McGill Students Nightline, a confidential, anonymous, and non-judgmental active listening service. You can call if you need advice or just someone to talk to as you help work through whatever you're feeling. Although you're just starting your degree, you're probably also thinking about where it's going to take you after graduation and what kinds of doors it will open. Under the Careers and Professional Development tab, you'll find links for Career Planning Service, or CAPS, which offers individual career advising and workshops to prepare you for the academic or non-academic job market. CAPS also hosts the My Future website, where you can search for jobs and manage your career. You'll also find the link to Skill Sets, which offers over 200 professional development workshops and events every year specifically designed for graduate students. For example, there's Would You Fund It?, which helps you develop a winning fellowship application, as well as workshop series to strengthen leadership skills. These events are designed to help you succeed in both your academics and your career. Lastly, I want to highlight that GPS created MyPath, which can help you manage all three of those domains to have a meaningful experience at McGill. MyPath's mission is to help students and postdocs pursue their goals using an individual development plan, or an IDP. You can think of your IDP as a tailored roadmap that guides you from where you are now to where you want to be. So as you can see, wherever you're at in your trajectory as a graduate student, there are many resources that will guide and support your success here at McGill. I encourage you to learn more about these different resources at the website I just presented to you, mcgill.ca/first-year/graduate postdoctoral. I'd like to wish you a wonderful, successful, and enriching graduate experience here at McGill.
So before we go to the breakout rooms, Ms. Jan Walker, I can see you are online. Would you like to present about graduate funding?
Hello, yes, I'm here. If I could share my screen, I could. Oh, perfect. There we go. Thank you so much for having me. I'll just let you know that I am doing this presentation from my open office. So if there's any noise in the background, well, that's just part of being here with us. So welcome everyone. And I would particularly like to extend that welcome to McGill to all of our new students. I am here today with a short presentation to introduce to you graduate and postdoctoral studies graduate funding. So here at Graduate Funding, we have 4 major roles, and they are making sure that funding information is available for all of our graduate students, including international student funding, federal and provincial funding, sponsorships, and internships. We keep fair and transparent adjudication processes of all our essentially administers fellowships and awards from GPS-run competitions. We are able to assist in the development and modification of policies regarding graduate funding and student eligibility, both internally to McGill and with outside agencies. And always we give our voice to support and advocate for our graduate students with external agencies. So there are 2 principal types of funding, internal and external. I'll begin with a discussion of internal funding. Internal funding is financial support that is distributed by the university in different ways.
Now, all incoming students are automatically considered for and may be offered internal funding. Some faculties and units have funds that you may need to apply for, so you should check that out with them. So Central McGill funds come from different sources, such as endowments, donations, government bodies, etc. Some faculties and academic units, as mentioned, have their own opportunities that you may need to apply for. So please be sure to discuss what opportunities are available for you with your graduate program coordinator. Some professors have research grants that they may use to help fund students under their supervision. There may also be employment possibilities in your unit as a research or teaching assistant. Be aware that funds received for these are considered salary for employment and are subject to the corresponding union's collective agreement. McGill Central funds work like this. All the monies come into one big pot that is administered by GPS. Using a formula, GPS shares the pot with each faculty. In turn, each faculty uses their own formula and policies to then redistribute their share to their units, and yes, usually keeping some at their level. Each unit is then tasked with giving offers to students. You will see this in your offer of admission letter. Now we have external funds. This is where I work. These are monies awarded to students from funding sources that are external to McGill. The most prominent are the Canadian federal agencies, NSERT, CIHR, and SURE, and the Quebec provincial agencies, FRQ-NT, FRQ-SC, and FRQ-S. Now, these awards must be applied for, and our web pages have tons of helpful and really important information for you. So please go and visit our web pages. Now, it is very important to be sure that you select the correct funding agency that will accord with your research. Tri-agency application process begins here at McGill, so you must speak with your graduate program coordinator about that. However, the provincial agencies do not have pre-selection at McGill, and you apply directly to them. Now, anyone who submits an application to one of the provincial agencies are required to send their application or file number to their unit. And this is in order that when you are successful, we can easily locate you here at McGill. Now, there are many other foundations or private enterprises that also offer student support. Talk with your supervisor. Even Google can help you out here. A quick overview of our webpage for information on specific funding opportunities. First, our main GPS funding page leads you to the following pages: a listing of funding opportunities that you can get to by first selecting your corresponding registration status, then based on your program of study for the award, citizenship, and or field of research. You can read the bios of some of our amazing previous winners. You can get tips and ideas for creating winning application, and that's found on our page called Maximize My Chances. And you can find all the really important instructions on how to get your payments appropriately named, getting paid, and maintaining fellowships. Now, some notes for our international students. There are a couple of important funding sources for international students, and they may be sponsorships or DFWs. I'll start with discussing sponsorships. So sponsorships are agreements between GPS and an international funding agency. The agreements include co-funding by McGill with an international agency abroad. Sponsorships are restricted to incoming and first-year students only, and it usually covers your tuition, your international health insurance, and a living allowance. To see if we have a sponsorship agreement with an agency in your home country, please visit our website where you can also find details on how to apply. Now we'll talk about DFWs, the differential fee waiver. It is an exemption of the fees that are charged to an international student, the amount over and above what a Quebec student would pay. However, this doesn't include the international health insurance. So DFWs come as a result of a bilateral agreement between Quebec government and a foreign government. Here's how it works. After their own selection process, a country will nominate their selected candidates to the Quebec government. Quebec government, in turn, performs a final selection and then will inform the candidate and their university. Application steps for students are to first determine whether there are bilateral exemptions for your country by consulting the list of countries that have established such agreements. Here is a link. This link will bring you to the Quebec provincial webpage where you'll find a list of those countries. Now, if the country or affiliated agency has a bilateral exemption, contact the appropriate authority for that country or agency. Now, be careful. Deadlines from country to country vary greatly. Really, they're different. So we urge all international students to please verify their country on this webpage as soon as possible in order not to miss an important deadline. Competition process for McGill administered competitions. Well, first of all, know your deadlines. Talk with your unit graduate office, as they may have their own requirements and may set a deadline earlier than GPS. Instructions, please read them more than once. Please follow them closely. Make sure you submit at the correct place and on time your application. Now, your unit is given a quota for the number of applicants that they are able to nominate to GPS and will make a pre-selection of the applications they receive. All eligible and complete nominated applications will then go through an internal selection process here at GPS. For external awards, based on McGill's quota, selected applicants are then forwarded to the appropriate funding agency. The exception here is for the CGS Masters Award. The winners are determined right here at McGill. Excuse me. So, getting paid, one of our most important web pages. Now, if you've received notification you've been offered an award from an external funding source, please let your unit know. And let graduate funding know by submitting the proper required documents. If you've received an offer and are waiting to get paid, and McGill is supposed to be administering your payments, we can't do that if we don't know you have the award. So please make sure that we are made aware. Now, tri-agency award payments are processed by us here at Graduate Funding. Most other external award payments are processed by your unit. When in doubt, email Graduate Funding, and please remember to include your McGill ID number. As mentioned, TA ships and RA ships are employment, so these are paid via payroll and processed by your unit. Stipends offered from your supervisor coming from their research grant or an operating fund are also processed by your unit. So, how to avoid delays in payments? Well, make sure you're registered for any term that your award will cover before the start of that term. Make sure you submit any and all documentation to the appropriate place. Update your banking information and your current mailing address on Minerva. Sorry, I missed one here. Yes, so to avoid delays, make sure you've update your banking information and go and visit our webpage, Getting Paid. All the information you need and instructions are on that very important webpage. You must have a Canadian bank account. This goes for Canadian and our international students. So be sure that you open that Canadian bank account and update your information on Minerva. All employment payments or award payments that go through McGill will only be dispersed to a Canadian bank account. An important note is that for any international student who may be arriving late due to immigration issues, you will not be able to receive any payment until you have opened that Canadian bank account and updated Minerva. Any stipends from your supervisor will not be able to be processed until you are physically here on campus. So any questions about this should be directed to your graduate program coordinator. As of today, the only upcoming webinar is the 20th of October for the Tri-Agency CGSM Award. For the webinars that have passed, the Tri-Agency Doctoral Award and the Introduction to Provincial Awards, you will find links to these recorded webinars and their slides on our webpage, Maximize My Chances. Now, NSERC and CIHR both offered sessions last year. We have not been updated this year. We are not sure that they will be available. Please go back and verify Maximize My Chances to see if this has changed. Also, check your email, check your McGill email often. I know that you're getting a ton of it right now, but take the time to read it. You never know when an opportunity is going to be there for you. Here's some funding web links to bookmark. And some other resources that have already been discussed. Graphos is not here, but you've already heard a really good description of what Graphos is. And this is our team. Note that if you want to reach any of us, please only use graduatefunding.gps@mcgill.ca. And remember to include your McGill ID number. We ask that you include your McGill ID number either in the subject line or at the top of every message. And this helps us to go and grab your record quickly, see who you are, where you are, and really help us to give prepare and send that response to you as easily and as quickly as possible. So once again, we welcome you to McGill. Thank you very much for having us and hoping that this presentation has proved helpful for you. Thank you.
So thank you very much, John. That's excellent. So just in case you missed something, this is being recorded and it will be on our website. And if you need some transcripts, just let us know. So we are going to move to the breakout room.